Daith da, ewi nakan. Welcome to podcast number 69. Well, as you may have seen from the title, I have had a bit of a setback with me training for the marathon. In last week's podcast, I did mention that I'm going to be running the London Marathon in April for Alzheimer's Society. And what I was hoping was over Christmas, I'd really hit the ground running, so to speak. And that I'd get me training in. Well, of course, I had man flu. So I got my little training plan. So I'm all geared up. I started last week in earnest. And Friday, I think I'm just checking here. Friday, I was meant to do 4 miles. And I was having me tea. And then we had a call. So I got back home after work. Well, it was about 8 o'clock. And then I thought I'll go out for me run. Now, half the trouble with training, especially when it is in the dark in the winter, apart from the cold and the wet and whatever, is the boredom of just doing the same old routines, the same old routes, time and time again. So I got myself a head torch this winter. So I thought I'd go a few different places. So I went along Eglesale Road, went over the bridge, and then I cut in around the co-op. And I thought I'd go down the riverbank there on the little pathway. And as I come up over the little brow of the slope there by Anneka's bridge, went down the other side. And of course, 'tis a bit uneven there. And God, I sprained my ankle. Honestly, me ankle, it went over heller. It jolted me knee, jolted me hip. I managed to stay up. But crikey, when I got to the grass, I went down on my knees. Me Tourette's come out and, 'twas a hanger. 'Twas hell of a painful. And I thought I'll leave it a minute. I went sat on the bench, but didn't improve. So I had to ring Beth. I said, you're going to have to come and pick me up. So that's what happened. So she come over by where the putting green used to be, come and pick me up. So before I go on, actually, for those of you that don't live in Wadebridge, you might say, what on earth is Anneka's bridge? Well, when I was young, a few years ago, there was a lovely maid in my class at school, still in touch with her now, Tessa Bailey. And Tessa's father was the doctor here in town, Dr. Keith Bailey. And at the time, the only way across the River Camel from Eglesale to Wadebridge and back again was the main bridge, which I think was built in the 1400s. I think I've done a podcast on it before. It's been widened and reinforced and everything since then. But if you still go down behind the co-op and look underneath, you can still see the real old arches from centuries ago. But that was the only way across the bridge for pedestrians and cars. And Dr. Bailey, he always had it in his mind. He wanted a pedestrian bridge. And tragically, he died very young. I think he left money in his will. I know there was a fund started to build a bridge. And it was going to be called the Bailey Bridge. And of course, this was a very clever play on words. Because in World War II, there was a bridge that was invented, which was called the Bailey Bridge. But this was a portable bridge. It would actually be carried in trucks or whatever that was used by the British Army. So if they come across perhaps somewhere where they had to have a bridge, they would construct the bridge, which would be strong enough even for tanks to go across, get across the other side, then they could take it down and they'd carry on. So this was the Bailey Bridge, and although that was quite clever, but costs spiraled and the bridge never got off the ground. But many years later, I think it was in 1991, a good friend of ours here, Di Dingle, and her auntie, Ada, I wanted to say Ada Bear, Ada Martin. The reason I say Ada Bear is Ada was part of the big Bear family here in Wadebridge. I've spoke about him many times before. And he's one of the people that, although you know her as Ada Martin, you could also refer to her as her maiden name. Like her husband, Dennis, lovely chap. If somebody described him, they say, oh, that's Ada Bear's husband. Anyway, Di approached the TV company. And what it was, if you can't remember, it was a program where Anneka Rice would be set a challenge in a time scale to do certain things. And Di challenged them to build a pedestrian bridge across the River Camel from Eglisale to Wadebridge. And I think initially it was turned down because I think they thought it was too big a project. But they did, in the end, decide to do it. And we're there in town, and you hear murmurings, rumours, and these footings turned up either side of the bridge. And then Anneka, I think she had 4 days to do this bridge. And you can find it today. I think if you go on YouTube, I think there's still somebody have downloaded a copy of the programme there. So you can actually see the building, the programme, how it went and everything. And then Di and Ada, I'm sure they was the first ones to go across the bridge. There was a big party and everything. But dear Ada, because she used to pop in work to see us every day when she used to walk to town. And when this bridge was built, she said, I'm going to use it most times, but she said at least once a week, I'm going to come over the old bridge and pop in and see Ron and David. And once a week, dear of her, she used to come in and say hello. So anyway, that's Anneka's Bridge, or as some of the older locals still like to call it, the Bailey Bridge. So going back to my pain, say I went over the little brow there on the pathway and my ankle, it went over and I was in hell of a state. Beth come pick me up. And I tell you what, within an hour, my ankle had swollen twice the size of the other one. Now, this is Friday night, and I'm home there thinking, what am I going to do? Because Saturday afternoon, the next day, I've got a massive funeral at St. Minver for a dear friend of ours, Libby, and her husband, Martin, who I've known forever. Dear of him, he did ask me if I would, not only would we conduct the funeral, but he asked me if I would do a Bible reading in the service. And I'm thinking, crumbs, the church is going to be full. It's going to be a pressure funeral. And then I'm going to be limping up the aisle. And I tell you, I didn't sleep much that night. A, because of the pain, but 2, thinking, what's going to happen the next day? Well, as it happened, the next day I got up and my ankle was sore initially. But he was still swollen. Bruising was starting to come out, but I could walk on it. And I thought, brilliant, that's brilliant. So we had the funeral in the afternoon and it was a fantastic turnout. And I went up and I'd done my reading without limping and everything was fine. But it was a bit of a worry there. Well, then obviously I couldn't run then. The next day, Sunday, I was meant to do a 6-mile run. Well, there was no way I could do that. My swelling was starting to go down a bit. And of course, I'm impatient. But every day I'm walking, and if I pressed it, it would still hurt, kind of thing. Bruising still there, still swollen. But if I walked on it, it didn't hurt if I walked. So I don't know if I should have done or no. But Tuesday evening, I did go out for a gentle little run, only 3 mile, and 'twas fine. And then the next day, Wednesday in the evening, I went out again for 4 miles and 'twas fine. I say, this is Thursday now, I'm recording this, and he's still swollen now, but he's getting less painful every day. But for actual general walking and running, he's fine. So I think I'm back on track. I didn't miss too much, but 'twas a worry because James, my oldest boy, well, he sprained his ankle and he'd done ligaments in and everything. Oh, crumbs, 6 months ago or more. And he's only now getting back viddy like it should be. And I'm thinking I got 16 weeks here, 15 weeks now until the marathon. So 'twas a bit of a worry. Now, other news, I'm sounding professional now. In the last week, there's been a commercial rocket that's gone up to the moon and then going to land there. I don't know what they're doing. Experiments and I'm not too sure. But the thing that caught my eye was that there's going to be humans' ashes on board apparently. And I know I did a podcast a few months ago about different things you can do with ashes. And if you troll back through all the previous episodes, you'll be able to find that. And I do go in depth quite a bit with what you can do with ashes. But this space rocket that's gone up, it has got some ashes on board of humans. including, I think it's the creator and even some of the actors from Star Trek. So that could be something we could be offering in years to come. They ain't the first ashes to actually go on the moon, because I think back in 1998, I think it was definitely the late 1990s. There was already ashes put on there, and that was from, I think it was Gene Shoemaker, I think. But, so that's something you never know. We might be offering it in the future. One other thing I did think about, last week in the podcast, I did mention about the reaction when the family's dog walked with me into church at a funeral we had. And we've had dogs quite a few times. They're allowed, obviously, to go at funerals as long as they behave. And one I do remember was years ago, we were at the crematorium and we turned up and the family wanted the dog there, but they didn't want him at the front. They wanted him at the back. And it was a real big St. Bernard. So anyway, everybody goes in there seated, and then the St. Bernard's brought in, put at the back. Well, of course, the thing is, a lot of people in the chapel hadn't seen that it was brought in. And partway during the service, he fell asleep. And I tell you, he was snoring. It sounded just like an old man snoring. And you could see some people was getting a little bit, not irate, but a little bit agitated to think that somebody had gone to the funeral and actually fallen asleep. But when they discovered afterwards, it did raise a smile. And I did think about that, and I thought I'd just mention that this week. Right, well, that's enough of me going on. So now I'm going over for part 2 of my interview with Warren Jago. So I can't remember what he talks about this week, but we'll have a listen and then I'll round everything up directly. So here we go.
So then I went on my own for a couple of years. My brother knocked on the door one night. He said, "Hey, do you fancy working for Woollyways in Taunton?" I said, "I don't know if I do. I never heard of him."
No.
He said, "Well, what we on now?" I said, £11, 5 and twopence. He said, "What about 33 a week?" I said, "How much?" £33 a week.
Yeah.
I said, £33 a week? There ain't that much money in the bloody world. He said, "Well, I'll whip home a minute," because he had a 55 van then.
Right.
I said, "Well, if you're going to go home and come back again, I just will go in and see it and see me picking all the gear up." So I rode in one, and we had a cup of tea in his place, and he showed me all his waste packets from 3 years ago, and 32, 33, 35, sometimes 40 for bonus.
Yeah.
If you get on dry weather and finish it quick, you can bonus.
Yeah.
I said, "This is the job for me." So I went on money for 10 years.
Right.
So from 64, 62, I got Flurry 63, 64, 65 to 75 then.
Yeah.
I went on with he. And then I packed up with him and went self-employed again and went on my own. I've been on my own ever since.
Yeah.
I finished up with that 25 years. I'm working for the Western Power. Sweb twice. Sweb, then Sweb PLC.
Yeah.
And Western Power took it over. Now it's National Grid.
Yeah.
They kept changing.
Yeah.
Oh, marvellous. I had a good life.
Yeah.
But going back to my father's trapping days, he bundled me up one night because you got a reefer coat supplied on the railway.
Right.
Got all long, got all thick coat. So this was on a Friday night. And I wasn't very old. I don't think I was going to school. I might have been going to school. Bundled me up, put me back in the corner up in Cara somewhere. And they put a long net down in one of the fields up there. And 2 or 3 lamps and 2 or 3 dogs, and the dogs rounded up with rabbits, you know.
Yeah. And
down they come, and there's like thunder. You heard the stampede on the telly.
Yeah.
Look out, stampede.
Yeah.
You hear the rabbits' feet like that, you know. And go right in the net, and they was over breaking necks and put them in bags. I think I had 150 rabbits. In one sweep, like.
Yeah.
Marvellous. Yeah, I went down Kent for 10 years in the middle of me self-employment.
Yeah.
I was down St Agnes working on a scaffold, and the scaffolder took a head plank out, never said nothing to anybody. We was working on the bloody place.
Yeah.
And I was going to go in the corner and finish off the outside of the gable end.
Yeah.
few bits like, you get the chip, you put the roof on, there's a few gaps there. I was going to do that, and that's what the site agent said, go and finish that off, and you draw your money on the job, like. Stepped on the plank, down I went. Nothing holding up. Because I was home from work for a day or two. And, I had a real bad back. I was living here then.
Yeah.
In that little bungalow on the end of there. And, I went to pick someone up. Oh, Christ. So specialist, plaster jacket for 6 months. Couldn't work for 6 months. Then I started getting better. And Ken Lawrence used to be the manager of Pretty Sparks.
Right.
Lived in the road here.
Right.
Anyways, when they were knocking on the door one night, so I do a bit of shooting him. I said, any jobs in your place? He said, how many do you want? I said, well, I'm only one man.
Yeah.
So he said, well, come in and look around tomorrow. So I drove in there and I could to work in a metal place, a road and metal for the Rolls Royce engines on the aircraft, or go into plastics.
Right.
So he said, how do you want to work? And I said, well, nights would be good. I said, extra money on nights.
Yeah.
I said, well, I didn't know that, did I? I said, no, you didn't. I said, right, I work nights. He said, this 10 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning. Is that going to suit you right? I said, yeah, that'll be right. Because I also landed a job. I was doing a few odd jobs, like easy jobs, down Cant Farm.
Right.
So the boss man already said to me, if you want a job down here as just looking after the place, he said, I'll give you the cottage for free rent, free telephone, free logs. He said, and your wife see the changeover of the visitors in the big house.
Yeah.
And any odd jobs on the farm you do, I'll pay. But you've got to keep one day out of that week to work in the gardens or cut the grass and that. He said, for your rent.
I get it.
I said, well, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
So that went on for 10 years. And in the middle of the 10 years, I got fit again.
Yeah.
So I chucked in Pretty Sparks because he's up there working on the roof up for Vincent Jones. He used to own it.
Right.
On the Camelford Road, there's a little place to turn off to the left up there. I can't think what it's called. He had horses and stables in there.
Right.
But it was all falling down, so I re-roofed the place for him in there. Trevallet?
Oh, yeah.
Is it Trevallet?
Yeah.
I think it's called Trevallet. I ain't quite sure. And I heard that they're twin brothers as well as he. And they were talking there one day underneath where he's working. And they said, well, we can't go on with the plastics. He said, they got to go. He said, the Japanese is taking over everything. He said, we can't compete. We can't even buy the material cheaper than making it part for.
Get away.
I said, right. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So then I went self-employed again then.
Yeah.
And I was down Cant, working at nights on the, what do you call it?
Yeah.
And I was earning more money than I ever thought I could earn in my life. Better money I was on full of waste. And of course, I let 5 caravans here and all the property I had.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'd done very well then. I picked
Yeah.
up a bit. So I boosted everything then.
Yeah.
So come home, I don't know where I was working Monday, Sweb I think. And she said, you don't owe nothing on none of the property, you know. I paid it all off.
Get away.
We don't owe a penny on it.
Yeah.
I paid off all the mortgages. We got no debts. We got nothing.
Yeah.
It's all ours.
Yeah.
Well, I was happy about that. I was only 50 odd then.
Yeah.
So no debts. That's very good, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah, definitely.
There are many people say that, you know.
No.
I know I'm bragging. But,
No, not at all.
because we have never paid rent in our life.
No.
We got married, moved in. We had a mortgage, mind.
Yeah.
Who haven't?
Yeah. So
yeah.
was Heather a St. Minver Rock family then, or was she?
Born in that house up there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but she wasn't actually born there. It was living there, but she's born in a nursing home in Bodmin.
Oh, right.
Up opposite the station.
Right.
What's that street called? Nicholas?
Yeah, St. Nicholas Street.
St. Nicholas Street. She born up early. And her sister was born up as well.
Oh, right.
Roger Tucker was born up as well.
Ah, yeah. And she was a white, do you say?
White. Margaret married Tom Lander.
Yeah.
Janet married a boy called Rathbone, and Heather married me. Yeah, old Tom, dear him. He lived very well, old Tom. He lived to his early 91, see.
So what did he get up to then as a boy in Wadebridge?
Oh, hell. What didn't he get up to? We get clever, doesn't he? But there's a bit of a do on with trolleys. We had All the go was trolley. Who could have the best wheels? Well, I couldn't get no bloody best wheels. I had Brad wheels with these silly little axles.
Yeah.
So, of course, everybody get over an Angard Hill. Down bottom there, like under Glone's place, there's a little gutter getting across, just a little dip.
Right.
But you want to pull the wheel up with a rope just to get it up. The back wheel didn't care. He carried on.
Yeah.
But no, Joe Soap here had to go down head first. Hold an axle, steering it. It shot forward, skinned on my face off all my knees, ripped me grey flat old bloody trousers. Hell up. Of course, went down to Auntie. She washed me off and stitched me up and whatever I had to do. But then I had a march home with my bloody trolley smashed up. Bert said, "What have we done? Somebody run over you?" I said, "No." I said, "You daft fucker, you learn." Yeah, oh God. But freedom. See, years ago, the Weybridge Marsh, as we call it, the Plainfields now.
Yeah.
Every opening you see in that wall had a gate on it.
Did it really?
Even the big gates had gates on them, see? Because the farmers used to have sheep in there.
Did they?
Oh yeah, we used to ride the bloody sheep around when we was kids, you know. Yeah. I think there was a bit of fence around the swings up there. There were swings, there was there wasn't no sand pit.
No.
No, there was a big chip, like a good old boat on steel, what do you call it? Get going and go right up over. You could, if you hang on tight, you could go, if you had enough momentum, you could go turning right over.
Right.
And then a good old big rocket horse.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still there or no.
Yeah.
But that one, merry-go-round sort of thing. Of course, in the summer house there, you go in there and smoke fags. But they block the bugger up, don't they?
They have,
yeah. There was all sorts of happening there. You know, things went a bit. I think things went a bit rougher when I grew up.
Yeah.
Kids started smoking bloody marijuana and all sorts in there.
Yeah.
But no, we didn't get up with nothing like that. Oh, hell up if we did.
Yeah.
I know, we, Jeff Eddy's father, Darrow Eddy, he used to live Exo Road there, where one of the doctors lived, the brick place up there.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved a great greenhouse. And he had 4x2 runners on the glass. Pretty strong.
Yeah.
And they got a big old window. So, of course, they lowered me in, and I got a chair over and got it rigged up so I had to get out quick. Passing up the grapes out through, and he came in with a drain rod.
Oh.
I got up. Of course, I cleared off.
Oh, no.
I pulled up through, got half up through, my legs hanging down, and he's quoting me with this bloody drain rod. Malacca cane drain rod. Christ, he stinged.
Oh.
I pulled myself out of the wall and bolted.
Yeah.
Anyway, I heard him shouting when I got home. Of course, my legs just welted up there like a bloody finger.
Yeah.
So father looked at me and said, "What's on it?" I said, "I've been pinching grapes." "Don't get down nice.
No,
I should get the bloody belt."
Yeah.
"Go off." I said, "Mr. Eddy, come on up." Grabbed me over the scruff of the neck, up we went. Knock on the door. He said, "How much no money owe we? You've been pinching your grapes, I hear." He said, look like you've had enough trouble, Bert. You haven't leather enough." He said, "Now, well, look at his legs." He said, "That'll do. And next time you want grapes, young man, you come and see me, I'll give you some."
Yeah.
So they don't pay the pinch.
No.
Oh, Mardo, yeah, we used to do everything. You know, we'd go out Slades Bridge. We're right beside the bridge, there's a gate.
Right.
Go up the footpath right up through there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like 20 yards in from there, we made a gap there, a little run down to the river. And all we boys dug it out with the old spades and that we had. And made a deep pool there.
Oh.
And we had a swimming pool there.
Did he really? Yeah.
And then the Phelps come from up Glen Road. They started joining in there.
Yeah.
Muscled in, really. There was nearly a bit of gang war there at the time. But, yeah, Dave Williams up Thomas Renan.
Yeah.
He jumped in as well. Brian Dearden, I don't know if he's still going or no. Swim there, Bill Cook, Raymond Rogers, Terry Buscombe. Oh, yeah, we used to have some fun there. Yeah, everything you think of, boy, we done.
Yeah.
And, of course, weekends in the summer. Well, not in the summer, end of the bloody summer. I already love from out there to Member.
Yeah.
We sent a lorry in and park over there where the swim used to be end of Bradford's Quay, like Bradford's Quay Road.
Right.
Swim office used to be there then. Swim depot, they called it.
Right.
And pick everybody up and go pick teddies.
All right.
Drive up Bow, pick up all the burdens up there. and drive out to Winver Road, pick teddies. And Mr. Bath down in Amble was the man in charge. And he said, put a stake in. That was your bit to dig.
Yeah.
The younger you are, the less you had to do. Oh, marvellous.
Yeah.
And no matter if it was a boy or kid, boy or child or man or old man, young man, you had all the same money.
Yeah.
Because you done the same amount of work.
Yeah.
So 10 shilling, I think it was. That's good money, say.
Yeah.
Well, and you was there from 8:30 in the morning to about 6 o'clock before he brought you home to get in dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Picking teddies. Come up with a tractor and spin it. I hope they won't get many spin out this time, but everybody spin out with loads of teddies. Yeah, marvellous. Yeah, God damn me. Yeah, go Orriston for Anthony Bengelly down Amble.
Yeah.
Before I left school. David X, he's dead and gone for a bugger now up Fernie Road.
Yeah.
He's 18 months older than me, so I said, right, he'd be on his motorbike.
Yeah.
For harvest time, and at the end of it, like. And right back within the evening and go harvesting for 6 weeks. We wouldn't want no coat.
No.
But now we can't guarantee what the weather's going to be, can we?
No, exactly.
No, more or less.
Is that David Dix that married Valerie then?
Valerie Gregson.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
He died young, see?
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
What had he then?
I don't know. I remember doing his funeral, but...
He got a boy, haven't he?
2 boys, yeah.
We got 2 boys.
Yeah.
Valerie Rook.
Oh,
Valerie Cole now, isn't it? She's a married woman.
Yeah.
So went to school there, see?
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah, we tried to dig out my school photograph.
All right.
Because lots of people there, and I forgot half the time to see this photograph.
Yeah.
I think, oh, got buggers in it, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because Keith Harden, he isn't around no more, see?
No.
Barry Henderson, he's gone on.
Yeah.
Keith, Boy Dennis, up St. Q, he's gone on. Oh, the score's gone out of the bloody school. Well, the last funeral I went to in your place, that was my cousin's funeral. A little maid come up and start speaking to me, and like a twig who she was right away. Joy Marge Harrison, she was.
Yes.
Joy Rowe, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, dear of her.
Yeah.
She's my age, see? You would never think so, would he?
No.
She'd never seen me age, to her.
No, she don't, no.
She's like Peter Pan in reverse.
Because she still lived Trinant now, doesn't she?
Nangard, yeah, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, years ago, I said never groceries up her because her mother was called Chio Luke. Next door to her was my auntie,
Right.
Bessie Osborne. She had a daughter called Margaret. Next door to them was Sleeman's. Boyd Dyke married one. Barry Burton Boyd Burton, I say Barry. Was it called Barry? Burton married another. And Des somebody married a young one, Mary. Yeah, marvellous. Then, I don't know who lived next door then. You got a gap then, there's a bit of big 20-foot gap between the cottages and the houses.
That's right.
Charlie Brooks' father lived on that far end.
Right.
And then two lots of Brookses lived there. Leonard Camps. 2 lots of Camps family lived there. Charlie Brooks used to live up there with Gert, up the far end of the village years ago, or Vale.
Yeah.
And they moved down to the end house.
That's right.
So then there was Lightfoot's.
Right.
Bill Lightfoot and his brother used to sweep the roads,
Yeah.
cut the roads down, and Lakesman. Langdon's.
Right.
Langdon's, Dicko's Langdon.
Yeah.
And other chap Langdon, you got the boy, a photographer in Weybridge and that.
Was he George?
George Langdon,
Yeah.
you got him, that's right. Then Babaz, my granny. Cox's. They live her somewhere. That's right, Cox's. Yeah, Mrs. Cox. Her husband was a Cox from out here.
Right.
Bill Jan, he was called. So she lived there somewhere. One of her granddaughters married Edley Cowland.
Oh, yeah.
And Babaz. The next door to Babaz was James Rickard.
Right.
He's about my age. If he's still going. Mrs. Rickard. Then there's... Oh, I'm wrong way around. Mr. Giles. Mr. Giles and his missus and 2 maids. One married a farmer out Washaway way. And David Parsons, working Juicens, married another one, May.
Yeah.
May. Then you had Terry Buscombe.
Yeah.
But I missed out somebody. Because Raymond Rogers' liver's over. I thought there was more houses than I thought there was. Art Ferret.
Yeah.
Somebody else. Then the campus is up in. And of course, back in the day, there wasn't no toilets flushing.
No.
Everybody had a communal toilet down the bottom.
Did they really?
And I had your number on the door.
Get away.
Yeah. Because scoring £1,000, you say to me, boy, go up and bury my bucket, will he? And I carried the bucket up and I said, just get it nearly impossible. Your ground, you came in another mine. Many ground moving, like, you know. Especially with a load of people in there, see?
Yeah.
Could you carry you go to toilet, you carry a bit of water now, would you see?
Yeah.
Oh, marvellous.
Well, marvellous. I think that is a fantastic adjective. Another brilliant episode. I hope you liked it. For me Cornish word of the week, I think because I mentioned earlier about ashes going on the moon, I thought I would do moon, which is lore. Lore. So that's the Cornish word for moon. And for me Cornish dialect, you heard Warren say it quite a few times. He said there was hell up. Hell up. So I think that'll be me Cornish dialect for the week. How do I describe that? I mean, 'tis like a proper commotion. Like if you're in trouble, there was hell up. You go home, you're in trouble with mother or father, or if there's a fight in town and there's commotion kicking off, you'd say, Christ, there was hell up. So hopefully that explains what 'tis. I don't think I've done that one before. This is the trouble now. I've done so many, I might be duplicating, but I don't think I have. So if I have, sorry, but there might be hell up. But there we go. Right, well, I'll leave you now. And I'll speak to you again next week. I hope you've enjoyed it. And next week, we've got our final instalment with Warren. But I hope you have a good week. Wish you well. Do Guinness. Curno bis second.